At some point during your college career, you're going to be asked to write a project proposal. Now, these proposals may take on different forms. They may simply be a page or two in paragraph form explaining what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Or it may require something a bit more formal and structured and have a specific format for it and be a much, much longer document with more detail. But regardless of how these are structured, project proposals should answer 5 very important questions. The first one, what are you going to do? Essentially, you're just explaining what your project is and giving us kind of an introduction to what it is that you're about to start doing. The second question is, why is this work important or significant? Now, in order to answer this question, you'll have to do a little bit of research. You'll have to look at some of the surrounding research that is related to your work. So, for example, if I'm doing research on how designers communicate, I'm going to have to do a little bit of research on communication. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research on what is already out there about how designers communicate. And I need to explain how my research for this project is going to fit into that larger body of research, why it is important for me to actually conduct this kind of research. The third question is, how are you going to complete the project? To answer this, you need to tell your instructor what you're going to do to make this project come about. What kind of actions are you going to take? If it's a more research library-based project, you're going to perhaps give some initial sources that you're going to dig through and pull information from. If it's something that's more scientific, where you're conducting an experiment, you may list the types of materials that you're going to need and the steps that you're going to take. The fourth question you'll need to answer is, how long will it take? Now, this can take several forms. You may want to create a chart with very, very detailed steps and dates explaining to your reader the tasks that you're going to complete and when. Or maybe something that's a little bit more loose, where you just have months or weeks where you list some objectives and a rough outline of how you're going to complete your project. But regardless of how it's structured, you need to explain how long it's going to take and how you're going to budget your time to complete this project. And finally, question number 5. What are the outcomes or the intended results? Now, you can wrap all of this up in a conclusion for your proposal. What you need to do is you need to explain what you're expecting to get out of this research. What are your intended goals? What are you hoping will be at the end of this project? Some important things to remember. Now, like I said, these proposals can take on many different forms depending on the situation and the requirements, so it's always very, very important to follow directions. Your instructors might have a particular way that they want these proposals to be formatted. They may want something that's more structured, with a very particular form and a very particular order that they want you to follow. Make sure that you're clear. The purpose of the purpose of proposals is to convey a message to your instructor exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Be organized. If your instructor doesn't lay out a particular format for you, make sure that you find a format that you can fit your proposal to that is very, very clear with subject headings. Sometimes you can use bullets and numbering, and that's much more appropriate than paragraphs, because it will present your message in a much clearer way. And finally, the most important thing to remember is that project proposals are an opportunity for you to argue that you know what you need to do in order to complete a project.